In class, we've been discussing object-oriented programming, and we went through how to build classes, the class method constructor, and how to build some of the class methods. And we were using shapes to demonstrate how this could be done. One of the areas that we were struggling with was how to use inheritance, and we were going to start touching on polymorphism. But for this training exercise, we're going to be using shapes, and that's triangle, rectangle, and circle, along with the main class shape. Now, these three classes right here are child classes. The class shape will, of course, be the parent class. And so that is what we're going to be concentrating on today. Now, the first thing you'll notice is on line 1, I'm importing the math library. And that's because we're going to use pi in our examples, and we're going to be using pi because of our class circle here, where we need pi for calculations for area. And in Python, there are many different libraries that we can use, but right now I'm just going to introduce you to the math one, and we're only going to really be using one property of the math, and that's pi. Okay, so we import pi, and we're doing that by saying from math import pi. We can also write import pi, or excuse me, just import math, and then just use the math library. But by doing it this way, we're only accessing the pi method from our pi property from math, and it makes it a little bit lighter. So this is more efficient than just importing math and all of the libraries from math. All right, so on line 3, we have the class shape. One of the first things I want to do is I'm going to give it the shapes a default color, and I'm doing this to demonstrate how we can inherit the color from class to class, from the parent class into the child classes. So I have some pre-written code, and so it's quicker and more efficient for me to quickly cut and paste the code versus the typing, which with the various issues I've had on my wrist over the years is quicker for you guys to just simply cut and paste. So that's how I'm going to do this one. So here we have a variable that I just defined as default underscore color. And remember, this doesn't really mean default color equals black. What this means is that the string, and we know it's a string because of the quotation marks, and inside that string is going to be black. So the string black is being assigned to the memory location that we're calling default underscore color. Or you could say the variable default underscore color is being assigned the value of the string called black. And so but it's not really equal, it's just it's being assigned to this value. So this value is being assigned here. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we need to create our class method constructor. I think it's constructor method, I'm saying it wrong. And the first thing we're going to do is, like as always, and here I'm typing again because I'm so used to that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the class method, and I'm just going to cut and paste this in real quick. And so here's our class constructor method right here. And you can tell we use the reserved keyword def, and then we start to construct our class. Now, the first thing that I want you to see I'm going to move this to line 6, is that we have the double underscore init underscore double underscore, and then our arguments here, our parameters. What to notice is that we have to have this right here, because this tells us that this is the class constructor, the double underscore init. And here self, remember self is simply going to be telling us what properties the constructor is going to construct, what properties of the method the constructor will be doing. Now here we have color. Color is going to be a parameter that can be taken, and we're assigning it to none right now. So there's no value being taken in on the construction. And inside here we have self.color, which is this self here, and we're going to be assigning it the color that's passed. So whatever's passed as an argument. However, if there's no color, if nothing's passed, then we're going to set it to the self default color, which is this one right here. So self default color self.color is being assigned whatever the color that's passed. However, if no color is passed as an argument, then we're going to maintain the default color to self, and that is going to be black. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is we're going to create what we're going to call a describe, because we're going to be using this method here for our in all of our rectangles, and it'll be telling us what the shape is. What the shape is. And so here I'm going to cut and paste this in real quick. This is another class method. Let me get the tab setting correct, or nothing will work. Goodness. There we go. In Python, the tabbing is everything. It's how we know what's in scope. All right, so here we have the first class method, and we're going to call it describe. It takes no arguments, and all it's going to do is take the shape of the name. We have a variable that we're calling shape underscore name, and it's going to be assigned the self.class.name. So whatever's passed here, and we're going to get that from the different child classes. Now here we're going to say print. Now you'll notice the F. Remember, F means that inside of this string we're going to be passing some arguments or variables. And so the first variable we see here is shape name. So it's going to capture the shape name. And then is, and then whatever the color is. And that's going to be the default color or the color that was passed when we constructed the main class shape. Okay. And now the next thing we're going to do here is we need to have, I'm going to cut and paste in two class methods. The first one is area, so this is going to calculate area, but we're just doing this for the constructor when we construct the shape. Naturally, we're not going to pass it any parameters, so that's why we're going to raise a not implemented error, and it'll pass this string if it's called directly from the shape. So nothing happens here. These are just for the constructor. So this whole thing right here is a template of the shape, and it's going to construct using these class methods. And that is what's required to create the shape. The next one we're going to work on is the class triangle. And the class triangle, it's going to take some arguments because it needs to know what the lengths of the sides are. So let's do that real quick. That's good. I think that's good. Yep. All right. So here we have class triangle. It inherits class shape. So shape is going to be passed into class triangle. And that means all of these attributes, this whole template here, will be passed here. Now, the class constructor of triangles is to take, of course, it's going to have self. It always has to have self. And it's going to take side A, side B, and side C. So a triangle has 3 sides. We're going to take all 3 sides. The color right here is going to be defaulted to none. And here, we're going to say super, and then dot init color. This means that it's going to be taking the constructor class of color. So that will be passed here. And then self side A is A, self side B, B, self side C is going to be assigned these values. So each one of these side values are assigned to the self side. And then we can access them whenever self is passed. And the very first time it's going to be passed is going to be in the area class method. So here's the area class method, and it is area, self. You can see self. So self is going to encompass these properties right here, these values. And now we can say, okay, self side A, and basically just the formulas for how we're going to calculate the area of a triangle. And that's basically just this right here. What you see is how it's calculated. And then it's going to return those final calculations so that we can calculate the area of a triangle. Okay, and let's see what else. The perimeter of a triangle is pretty simple. We just add the sides together. So let's do that next. All right, so here we have the perimeter. Let me put this where it goes. Here we have the class method perimeter, and of course takes self again, so whatever these values are all taken, and it just adds them up and returns them. No big deal. Okay, so before we mess with rectangle and circle, let's take a look at what we have. We import math. We have our default to black. This is our class constructor. And then we have these child classes, well, this child class triangle with the taking 3 arguments, possibly 4 if you include the color. And then it's going to initialize color from the parent class. And then also we have our values of self side A, B, and C, which are assigned to the 3 arguments. We have the formula for area of a triangle, and then that value is going to be returned. And we have the parameter for area of a triangle. So now we can actually run this piece right here. And so we could create the we're going to go ahead and pass it some values. So let's do that. And I'm going to do that underneath all this. Right about here, I suppose. So here we're creating an instance of the triangle. Now you notice that I wrote triangle lowercase. Does it matter? No, we could do something like this, or even that. We could do that and say T is going to be assigned the value of triangle. Now here we're creating the class. We're going to call triangle, and triangle's here, but remember here it's shape, and then we're passing it the 3 arguments, 3, 4, and 5 for side A, B, and C. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I have an unexpected indent. All right, so let me see where, let me fix that, and then I'll demonstrate. Okay, so the problem that I had was the default was over by 1, so it was something along these lines, and it has to match up with the rest of them, so these all have to be lined up. And so I think it was over by 1, and that was causing a tab error or a spacing error. So anyways, this is now correct, and I pass triangle these 3 values, and we come up with this right here. Let's see, let me run this again. Oh, so here's the thing. Nothing's coming out because I didn't print anything, so I gotta print this. And we could throw all that in the print, or we could just say print, what's this, area of a triangle? Yeah, so we could say area, and, well, the first thing I got to say something first, and that is that what we did here is we created an instance of the triangle, and that instance is T. But now, in order to get area and parameter, we have to access T. We have to access that instance of the triangle. So how would we do that? Let me show you very quickly. We can call the triangle describe. We're going to do that first, right here. And we're also going to call the print triangle area, because that's the one that we created, that we're calling. So let's do that and see what happens. Oh, our triangle is not defined because I changed it to T. It's okay. It needs to be that. Oh, I mean, and of course here too. My goodness. If you're going to change variables, you need to be prepared to change them everywhere. Okay, so here I have an instance of triangle called T, T describe, and then print triangle area, T area. And we can see the shape triangle is black. Okay. And it's black. Why? Because the default value is black and we didn't pass it a color. And then here we can see the triangle area is 6. And that's just going through this formula right here. Now we can call the next, we can do the next which is perimeter. I was going to say the next class method. So let me fix this, and this is going to be perimeter. Okay, so now we have perimeter, and you can see that 9 plus 3 is 12, and that is correct. So here's triangle area 12, triangle area 6, and it's black. Black because we did not pass it that 4th parameter. Now let's see what happens if we do pass it that next parameter. So we can say color equal blue. And now the shape of the triangle is blue, and triangle area is 6 and 12. So we overrode the default color right here and color none to then add our own color. And that's because when we constructed it, here there was a color, so self color became the new color blue. And so all this happens on construction, on the class method construction. All right, so that is the triangle. It inherited the color, it inherited the describe property, area property, all these, and then of course these are called from self. So that one is a little, I think it's a little bit complex, but not too bad. All right, so now let's do the rectangle class. And the rectangle class, it's going to be very similar to the triangle class in that, let me fix this, in that we have to have super in order to pull in that default color, and from the parent class. Now here though we have self width and self height, so we're going to take these parameters, and again this one is optional. And so now we need to create the just like we did with triangle, we're going to need to create our area and parameter for the rectangle, and that's really easy. So width and height, and we'll just copy and paste both those in there because they're really simple. And so here we have the class method area, class method parameter, and the formulas, and they're going to be pulled back on the or output on the return. That's really it. How we do this part here is exactly the same way, except for this time we're going to be doing it with the rectangle. So we could say rectangle. Let's do rectangle describe. Try and keep it the same. And we have to give it some information here. So let's see. Those are going to be the height and the width. Width and height, and then of course we're going to default to blue. Well, let's go red this time, or just like before we could leave it the default color of black if we wanted to. Okay, and then it's just a matter of cut and pasting the area and parameter. So one moment. I'm just going to steal it from here. And then we have rectangle. Now, one of the things you can do to help with readability is we can also throw in a print nothing. So you can do something along those lines to help throw a space in there. So there's triangle blue and the old values, and then here's a rectangle with its information. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But anyways, that's it. Now we'll go ahead and we'll do circle next. So let me comment this back in. The constructor for circle. This time I'm just going to throw it all in there because you guys get the idea by now. All right, so here's circle. It's going to inherit shape. We have our constructor. It's only taking one value, and that's radius. It can take a second one, color. It's optional. Again, we inherit color from the parent shape, radius, and then we have self along with the formula for calculating area of a circle and the formula of calculating parameter, which really should be circumference for a circle. And then we can do the same stuff we did with the other ones. We can throw in the circle. Let's throw in circle describe. I'm going to just throw those in right here. Let's do a print first for spacing. Circle describe and circle. Let's do, but with this time we're going to say, what do we have up there, perimeter? Circle is not defined. Oh, yeah. I don't think I created an instance of the circle. I did not. Of course I didn't. Why would I do that? Okay, so we need to create an instance of the circle. Let's do that. Instance of a circle created. And there it is. The shape circle is red, circle area is this, and circle parameter is that, based on the radius of 5 that we gave it. Okay, so that's really it. This demonstrates inheritance. The next thing I'm going to want to demonstrate is polymorphism, but we're going to do that in another video. We'll expand on this same script of code, and we'll demonstrate polymorphism on the next one, and then that'll complete our object-oriented programming section. That's it. Happy coding.